Shifting our focus to Bangladesh, an intense power crisis is increasing unease in the country, and it revolves around the leadership of Mohammad Yunus, the head of Bangladesh's interim government, who seems to be leaving no stone unturned to stay on in the seat of power. Recently, Yunus claimed that a warlike situation has emerged in the country ever since former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's party Awami League was banned. According to Yunus's press secretary, Shafiqul Alam, Yunus made this remark at a meeting with political parties at a time of rapidly spreading unrest in the country amid rising demonstrations and threats posed against his interim government. Yunus says that the law and order has collapsed in Bangladesh, pushing the country to the brink of chaos. The other and perhaps the most important thing Yunus reportedly said is that his administration is working to hold elections before next June. More specifically, as per Alam, Yunus plans to hold the elections between December 2025 and June 30th, 2026, post which he will not stay in power even for a single day, adding that he would perhaps feel guilty should he fail to hold a fair election. He also emphasized the importance of unity and consensus to avoid a division. Responding to these reports, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, in her latest audio message, slammed Yunus, accusing him of selling the nation to the United States. Hasina's heated response comes in the wake of the ban imposed on her and her party. In a strongly worded post, Hasina are important, but so are timely elections conducted in a proper, legal and constitutional manner that serves the people at large and not just stakeholders, people of rank and their agendas. From one war front to another, displaced, starved and bombed daily. That's the reality of Gaza today. And after 1 year and 7 months of this, world leaders are drawing the line on Israel and saying no more. On Monday, Israel bombed and Gaza mourned the death of innocent Palestinians. The latest Israeli assault on Gaza came a day after European and Arab leaders gathered in Spain to discuss how they can pressure Israel to stop the Gaza assault. Considering that this was the 5th official meeting of leaders in what is known as the Madrid Group, and the fact that the global pressure has failed to stop Netanyahu so far, the question now is there any hope left for Gaza? What does the future look like for Palestinians in Gaza? Let's get into it, but first, here's what you need to know. On Monday, an Israeli strike killed dozens of Palestinians, including people sleeping in a school-turned-shelter. Then, rescuers reported the devastating Israeli strikes, which killed at least 52 people, 33 of them in the school shelter. I am talking about displaced families seeking refuge from the ongoing Israeli bombings and attacks. Of course, Israeli military said that they only target Hamas militants. In its official statement, the Israeli security agency Shin Bet said Hamas was using the school to plan and gather intelligence. But the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says that Gaza's shelters are overwhelmed with people desperately seeking safety, and that there's no place safe and no area that is spared from hostilities in Gaza.
There's no military in it, there's no weapons in it. The school, the UNRWA, entered it, and all the supportive parties entered it. It's purely a civilian school. At 1 a.m. we were asleep and found ourselves crushed and directly struck. If it weren't for the grace of God, my children and I wouldn't have come out from under the rubble.
Well, what's the point of evacuation orders if the bombs follow people anyway? Evacuate and go where? There's no place left in Gaza. On Monday, even as Gazans were still reeling from the IDF strike, the Israeli military issued another round of evacuation orders. This time for residents in Khan Yunus, Bani Suhailia, Abbasan and Al-Karara, all in southern Gaza, to evacuate. In a statement on X, Israeli military spokesperson Awami League told civilians to leave for Al-Mawasi, a so-called safe zone. But that label of safe zone means little on the ground, as Israel has repeatedly struck these areas too. Humanitarian groups say it clearly that there is nowhere safe left in Gaza, and that's not all. The Israeli bombardment and the forced displacement has only aggravated the food crisis. Children and elderly are dying from starvation in Gaza. The United Nations has warned that Palestinians in Gaza are facing the cruelest phase of the war. With widespread famine imminent, experts say that unless Israel facilitates a massive influx of aid and ends its bombing campaign, Gazans will continue to starve to death.
Palestinians in Gaza are enduring what may be the cruelest phase of this cruel conflict. For nearly 80 days, Israel blocked the entry of life-saving international aid. As the world's leading hunger assessment found, the entire population of Gaza is facing the risk of famine. Families are being starved and denied the very basics, all with the world watching in real time.
Experts in humanitarian aid are echoing Guterres' comments, saying that the warning lights are all blinking bright red for famine.
I don't think we've ever found ourselves in a more acute moment in terms of conditions on the ground. We have been close to famine in the past, but all the indicators, particularly from the IPC, the international sort of mechanism that evaluates the state of food insecurity inside of Gaza, says the warning lights are all blinking bright red right now.
Israel's intensified bombing campaign as well as the forced displacement is hampering aid efforts, with most of Gaza's 2 million population squeezed into an ever-narrowing zone on the coast. Global pressure to get aid in quickly has ratcheted up. Israel has announced that a new system sponsored by the US and run by private contractors will soon begin operations from 4 distribution centers in Gaza. But details of how this system will work, that still remains unclear. The United Nations has already said it will not work with the new system, which it says will leave aid distribution conditional on Israel's political and military aims, that is. According to Israeli military, it has conducted strikes on over 200 targets in the past 48 hours. According to the Jerusalem Post, the IDF, as a part of Operation Gideon's Chariots, said that they attacked Hamas weapons depots, sniper posts, tunnel shafts over the weekend. Remember, Israel has stepped up its military operations in Gaza in early May as it seeks to eliminate Hamas and bring back the remaining hostages. And despite the mounting global pressure that has pushed Israel to lift the blockade on aid supplies, in the face of warnings of looming famine, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said last week that Israel will control the whole of Gaza. So far, Israel seems to have taken control of around 77% of the enclave, either through its ground forces or evacuation orders, and bombings that keep residents away from their homes. What's more, Gaza's healthcare system is on the brink of collapse, as hospitals and medical facilities continue to come under Israeli fire. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 700 attacks have been carried out on healthcare facilities since the war started, and more than 90% of Gaza's hospitals have been damaged or destroyed. China has a new dynamics when it comes to marriage. With millions of Chinese men struggling to find wives at home, many are now reportedly turning towards Russia and other former Soviet countries. But what's driving this unusual trend? The answer lies in numbers and culture. China's long-standing one-child policy, combined with a deep-rooted cultural preference for boys, that has now created a sharp gender imbalance. According to China's National Bureau of Statistics, men outnumber women by an estimated 30 million. Too many men and too few women. That has also increased the cost of marriage. In rural China, grooms are expected to provide up to $83,000 worth of cash. jewelry or property for a bride. And Russia, where there are reportedly around 10 million more women than men, it has now become a hotspot for international matchmaking. This has led to the development of a new industry where marriage agents offer their services, especially on WION. Now, that's the Chinese version of TikTok. It's an app, and other social media platforms. Chat groups are filled with young men who are now exchanging advice on finding partners in Russia, Ukraine and beyond. But such services are also leading to scams. China's embassy in Bangladesh has now issued a warning against matchmaking services that promise foreign brides for a fee and urged Chinese citizens not to fall for scams that could cost them both emotionally and financially. Meanwhile, marriage rates continue to drop within China. Last year, China saw its lowest number of marriage registrations since 1980. The country registered around 6.1 million marriages, a decline of more than 20% from 2023. So perhaps it appears modern realities are rewriting the rules of finding a partner. And for millions of Chinese men, it appears that the road to marriage might just start with a passport. Well, China is continuing to push the boundaries of naval warfare. Its most sophisticated aircraft carrier, the Fujian, has entered what reports are calling its most intensive sea trial so far, the 8th in a series of rigorous maritime tests. What's more, according to state media, China's 5th-generation stealth jets, the catapult launch-capable J-35s, have also carried out tests and flights. However, the state media reports did not specify if the J-35 jets were launched from the Fujian. The trials come at a time when Chinese military activity is surging in the South China Sea and with tensions escalating in the region. From China's perspective, the Fujian's capabilities carry even more strategic weight. Let's tell you more about this. Measuring nearly 316 meters in length and weighing over 80,000 tons, the Fujian has the distinction of being the largest conventionally powered warship ever built. Commissioned in June 2022 as China's 3rd carrier, it stands apart as the first to feature electromagnetic catapult launch systems, a technology that places it in direct competition with America's Gerald R. Ford class carriers, capable of deploying up to 70 aircraft, including the J-15 multi-role fighters and anti-submarine Z-9C helicopters. The Fujian reportedly has 2 aircraft elevators, 3 electromagnetic catapults, and 4 arresting wires to recover aircraft returning from missions. The warship also has short-range surface-to-air missile system and autocannons to counter incoming missiles and aircraft. Its electromagnetic launch system reportedly enables it to launch heavier planes more frequently, potentially allowing fighter jets to be fully loaded with fuel and armaments. According to state media, the catapult also enables the launch of different sizes of drones. Strategically, the Fujian empowers China to extend its military footprint well beyond its coastline. The carrier strengthens China's ability to sustain operations across the Indo-Pacific, including the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. Currently, there is no official date about when the Fujian will formally join the Chinese Navy. But with the Fujian entering an advanced stage of trials and the PLA assessing how combat ready it truly is, the warship is likely to enforce recalibration of strategies across the Indo-Pacific.